All right, ladies and gents, gentlemen and ladies, gentlemen and ladies. All right, yeah, this is module two. We've done module one, right? Module one is for the first term, right? I've given you areas you need to concentrate on, your scope, in short, for your exam, right? Okay, this one is for term two, but no problem. I told you why I want to move a little bit faster because sometimes when it is cold, students don't like to come to the college. So from experience, I like to finish the whole syllabus within a short space of time. Right. Okay, module two is very interesting. Right? Now, what are we going to discuss about? You as a starter, you want to start a business. Right. You need to be able to identify the type of products or service that you can provide to satisfy the needs of the customer or the client. Right. Your preoccupation should be what can I provide to satisfy people's needs? Understand it? In general. Right. Because if you provide certain things that cannot satisfy customers' needs, you will end up being depressed like this. But once you are able to satisfy customers' needs and you are able to provide what they need and they can afford, I'm telling you, you're going to be in business. Right. So, in this module, we are going to learn about how to identify potential customer for a new business. There are certain terms I want to decode here. I want to unpack potential. What do we mean by potential? Potential means they've got the ability to buy, but they haven't started buying from you. It's like when you apply to study at West Coast College, we address you as prospective student. Prospective. Why do we use that language prospective? Because you're not a student yet, right? But you can one day somehow be a student of West Coast College, right? It's the same thing here, right? When you've been accepted, you get registered, you pay you don't, of course, you don't pay school fees, right? The system has been normalized. Then we call you, we give you ID, student ID. Then we say you are a student. It's the same thing here. Potential, potential customers, right? You've scanned around, then you've identified this group of people that you feel can buy your product. Okay, that is what we mean. When do we say new venture? Venture, what does it mean? It could be a new business, right? It could be a new initiative. It could be a new what endeavors, right? So that is what we mean by this. It becomes much more serious for you to identify potential customer, most especially if it is a new business, because nobody know about it. If it is an existing business, the story is much more different. But a new business, a new product for a new business, you need to work hard. You need to do what we call aggressive marketing. When you see somebody that is aggressive, you can't hold that person. Have you heard about that term before? Aggressive. Somebody that can get annoyed, you can't hold it. You see, you can't hold that person. To do aggressive marketing means you focus all your energies to make sure that you get what you want. When you are aggressive, with somebody that is aggressive, is somebody that put all energies to make sure that that person get what he or she wants. right? You must be aggressive in learning, right? Yeah. So yes, that is it. Then why and how to conduct customers research. Now you've identified perhaps this is my target market where you got potential customers, right? You need to know what they want, right? You need to know what they want. How will you know that? Will you sit in your office, then you start getting revelation in terms of what they want? No. You must go out there to ask them. By asking, you ask them. How will you ask them? Right. There are different ways to ask, right? There are different methods to use. Perhaps you could use the method of face to face, right? You go around if you can, ask them, what do you want? My friend, do you normally bring food for your lunch? Do you? Hmm. Okay. You don't, you buy stuff, right? What type of stuff you like to buy during lunchtime? Chips. What type of flavor? You see what I mean? Right. You ask around, then you take note, right? Then when you finish, you come to your drawing board. You know now what they want. You know the flavor. You know the prices, how much they can afford. Then you provide it. You can do that. That one is one method. Another method is you use a survey. You know what is a survey? My man, it's very hot here now. What is happening? Me, I'm hot. Are the windows open? Why the weather change like this? Huh? Who tell me? I'm so hot here. Maybe we have to open the door a little bit. It's like I'm baking myself here. All right, guys, you can use a survey. You know survey? Survey. Spell it for me. Survey. You know what I'm talking about? Right. A survey is a kind of you do. It's a document. Okay. The survey you use a questionnaire. I mean to do a survey, right? Questionnaires. How many of you have seen a questionnaire here before? Questionnaire use. Yeah. A questionnaire is a kind of a document that contains questions that you need or that require your responses from your target market. Right? Is it clear? It's a document that contains questions that you want to responses to for you to be able to analyze and make informed decision. For example, like what I was asking him just now, right? If it is a situation whereby I cannot be asking everybody, you know, it's time consuming. For example, if West Coast College Atlantis campus specifically is my target market, for me to be asking one by one is time consuming, right? Time consuming. You know what I mean by that language? It's going to take me a lot of time, right? To save time, I can prefer to use a survey. Write those questions down, perhaps, if I'm going to uh, use printout, then I distribute it. Then you're gonna respond. If I'm going to use a digital method, then what I'm going to do, I can use the medium of WhatsApp. You know, you can use WhatsApp to do poll, right? You type the questions, then you post it. So then people will be responding, right? Then when you finish, you collate it, you analyze it, then you can be able to make what we call an evidence-based decision, right? If I'm going to provide chips, I've already know how many people want chips, right? And what type of flavor, whether barbecue, you know, barbecue, hot stuff, right? Me, I love hot stuff, right? Barbecue or whatever, right? Or marinated, what do you call? You know all those things. Me, I don't know all those stuff, right? So then I can be able to know how many people I'm going to serve. Then you position yourself in the right spot of being able to satisfy the needs of the customer by providing the right stuff. Does it make sense to you? Are you still with me? Right. Then, like I said, how to use statistical information to determine the type of product or service valued by different community. Once you've done with your survey, what is the survey? The collection of information, right? You collected the information in terms of what they need, right? Then you need to come back to your drawing board and sit down to analyze, right? Because the raw materials, sorry, not raw material, the raw data that you collected you cannot make use of it if it is not processed. It's like when we were doing the in module one, we said you have the raw materials, né? Transform to have the finished product. Remember, we gave example of information. The information you collected from individuals, from potential customers, let's use that language, needs to be processed, right? For you to be able to have the output to make an informed decision, right? So, why are you going to represent it? You need to process it statistically. For example, let's say I've done a survey in this class of how many people like uh, barbecue chips. Is there anything like barbecue chips? Do you have that type of flavor? Because me, I don't eat chips. You have chip that is spiced with barbecue, right? You have okay. Let's say I've got that. I got another type of chips, no salt. For me, I don't eat salt, right? Then you got three types. Now we need to see how many people like barbecue, right? Okay, let's say in this class, how many students we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Right. 18, 18 like, hey, this body is messing. 18 like barbecue, right? Right. So what I'm trying to say is you draw a graph like this, right? To represent how many people. Let's say this one is for barbecue, this one is for no salt, mustard, and all those kind of stuff. You know what I'm talking about, right? These are statistical representations that we are talking about. We're gonna do it. So that's that. Now, do you understand? These are what we are going to cover in module 2. Very interesting, right? How to identify potential customers, right? How to conduct customers research and how to process the raw information you got from your customer to be able to make an informed decision based on the processed information. Okay, now this one is very important. Marketing, right? When you got a new business, your new business is not known, right? It's not known. It's like something in the cupboard or in the briefcase. If you put something in the briefcase in the cupboard, will people know about it? No. You must go out and market, right? So we said marketing is about creating awareness of your product or services. It's about creating awareness, making your potential customer to know about it. Right. You must make them know about it. You need to be able to persuade them. Persuasion. Marketing goes with persuasion as well. Persuasion means to convince. I need to convince my potential customer that this product is good for you, right? When you eat this product or when you use this cream, you see your body gonna be gleaming like the back of look like the back of an pressing iron. You're gonna be. I remember. I'm gonna give you a joke now, right? Those days, there used to be a guy. This guy was selling a kind of soap. You know soap, right? That soap was not for the body. Was for when you shave your beards. eh, You use that. It's like an aftershave. Then you use that soap to rub. Even that time, I had no beard then because I was even looking at the guy. What is this guy talking about? Because I was still very small, but not so small because I was a graduate. I've already graduated from tertiary education, but no beard because I started studying very small at a small age. Then this guy used to say, you know how he used to market this thing? He used to be inside the bus. This bus that goes to long distance. He will be in the bus. He will go with the bus up to 50 kilometers, then advertising this thing, selling this inside the bus. Then when he get to a point, he will drop off, then wait for another bus that is coming. He was not even paying sure, all those rent and all but they were allowing him. One thing I pick up in his language that he used to say, he will say, when you use this soap, right, to rub your chin, after shave, he said, your chin will be smooth like the back of a pressing iron. Did you see? Did you see how he was able to convince, the language he was using to convince people? Because there are some people, the type of weather there is very hot, right? People always have bumps, bumps, rashes, right? Majority of the people have rashes there. So it means if you use this soap, after shaving, those bumps, if you go, then your chin will be smooth like the back of a pressing iron. You see pressing iron, you see how smooth it is. If your chin is smooth like that, it's something good, right? You that was having rashes before, now it's smooth like the back of a pressing iron. You know, that was the language that guy was using to convince people, to persuade people. So as a marketer, that guy was a good marketer, right? So he was able to use certain languages, certain concepts to convince people, right? So you as a marketer as well of any business, you should be able to convince, persuade people, tell them the benefits of your product, what they can benefit from your product. That could assist them in making an informed decision. So it starts from where? Identify the target market, right? The target market where your potential customers are, right? Thereafter, you determine the needs and wants. How will you determine the needs and wants? Like I said, you can do a kind of a survey, right? Survey to know what they want. You see what I did just now, asking him about whether he will be interested in buying the lunch, right? Huh? Oh, it's lighting on your eyes. Okay. Yes, I need to be more careful now, right? Because this thing is not good. Then you need to determine, is it still reflecting on your eyes? If I do it like this, okay. Then you need to determine the needs and wants, right? Then thereafter, what will you do? You develop the range of product. Like I did just now. I asked him, I said, you like what type of food or will you be interested in buying during lunchtime? Then he told me, right? Then after doing my survey, I can be able to make a informed decision. Now, this is what they want, right? Based on that, I will be able to provide a product that is going to buy from me. That is what we are talking about here. You develop a range of products, right? So, having done that, what is the next? Are you going to stop there? You must go and market your product. You must go and promote it, right? I'm going to use this one to light on your face now. You must focus. You must go and what? Promote the product. How will you promote the product? Who can tell me? What are we talking about there? I said this thing yesterday here. How do you promote the product? How are you going to promote the product? How? What strategies are you going to use? You use the four P's. This is where you need to apply the knowledge of the four P's. One, product, promotion, place. Yeah, you need to apply these strategies because remember, in the marketplace, in the business world, you might not be the only one that is providing food, right? You need to be able to strategize. I'm gonna ask you a question. I think you are getting. I don't know what you're thinking about that is spinning your head, right? Okay. Now, having done that, what next? You need to sell. You sell your product range. Perhaps it might be in a situation whereby you need to distribute it, right? Take it to where the products are needed. Okay, the most important thing I want to explain here, not the most important thing anyway. Another thing that is very important here is this: provide after sales service. What is after sales service? This one. What is this? Most people or most organizations they do provide. Some organizations don't provide, and this one is very, very important in a business. Very, very important. You know what is after sales service? Okay. When the transaction is done already, you go back to find out from the customer or the client whether the customer is still okay. Let me put this way. Any service that is rendered to the customer after the deal is an after sales service. For example, you know what we call guarantee. Warranty, right? They will tell you if that thing we are giving you 6 months or a year warranty. If something happens to it, bring it back. That is after sales. Ostensibly, that is an after sales because it makes you or it will make you to be loyal. Hello, hello, you sleeping? It will make you to be loyal, right? I was telling my previous class just now that today I don't like to buy my stuff from any other shop besides game. Game. I told you, haven't I? I've told you my story about game. That I bought something that I went to return it, then they even gave me back half of the money. That day I said I will never buy my stuff from anyone. If it is not in game, I wait till the stock is